Um, Martin will not be joining us this morning.
Sorry, who is that? Sorry, I missed that.
Martin Verwoerd will not be joining us this morning.
Okay.
Okie dokie. 9 o'clock. You guys good?
Well, good as will be.
Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Good morning and welcome to this online hearing by the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Ottawa under the Planning Act. This video conference is also live streaming on YouTube. With me are my fellow panel members, Stephen Lewis and Terrence Otto. My name is Jocelyn Chandler and I'll be chairing this hearing today. The procedure for the hearing will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen are applications we will hear today. For efficiency, the committee may deal with agenda items in a different order. Committee members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we will hear oral submissions from any interested parties. As part of the statutory public notification requirements, each applicant was required to sign or to post a sign on the property and file a statutory declaration to confirm the sign posting. This declaration must be on file today before we can hear the application. If we do not have it, I'll administer an oath. Could the coordinator please confirm whether we received any statutory declarations?
Madam Chair, we have not received any statutory declarations.
Okay, so I'll administer an oath to the applicant or agent as each application appears before us. The committee may ask for a brief presentation of the application, followed by questions from members and submissions from commenting agencies and the public. Please address your comments to me, the chair, starting with your name and spelling it if necessary, and provide us with your municipal address for the record. The committee generally limits presentations to 5 minutes, and any exceptions will be at my discretion. All right, we will proceed to the agenda. First, are there any declarations of interest from any of the panel members?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have interest on number 10, Malik Lane.
Okay. Noted. First, we will deal with adjournment requests. Item number 5, 1675 Carsonby Road East. So I would expect to see Gail McKenzie. Hello, Ms. McKenzie, are you available to speak? I can see her name. Ms. McKenzie, could you confirm you can hear me?
Hello?
Hi, there you are. Okay.
Sorry, I just heard item number 5 and then my screen went blank.
Okay, well, we are going to address an adjournment request for 1675 Carsonby Road East, correct?
Well, I'm still uncertain as to, as I was going over everything again yesterday, and I just have some things. Could I go over a few things about this opposition that the city has put forward?
Okay, so they haven't opposed, they just asked for an adjournment, which would mean to stand it down to pursue a few outstanding things. Certainly we can discuss that. I would like to have, who is the planner on this file? Sean Harrigan?
Good morning, Madam Chair. It's Cheryl Mcwilliams here, the senior planner in the rural group. Sean is not available. He had a sudden family death, and I am representing planning on all matters today.
Nice to see you, Ms. McWilliams. Okay, Gail, Ms. McKenzie, what is it that you would like to speak about?
Well, there are just a few things in the the comments from Sean that according to the environmental impact statement that I had done, that I just don't agree with, that about the drains and the wetlands and the woodlands. I just, in my statement, it contradicts what he says. So like for example, the David Adams Municipal Drain, it's not on my property, it's on the neighboring property. And according to the mapping, and it was verified by Eldon Hutchings at the city, that the city mapping is wrong. It's incorrect, that it's not in fact on my property.
Okay. And you also had a concern regarding their request for some revisions to the EIS relating to woodlands.
Yes, the woodlands as well. Again, in the EIS, it shows that there are aerial photos from 1976 from Geo Ottawa that showed the area was not forested 45 years ago. So the trees are, quite young. And my son, he is an arborist, he works for the city, and he's confirmed this. So it's not a mature woodland. As well, the wetlands, again in the EIS, she notes that there are multiple vegetation species that are considered, I guess, obligate and facultative, and they almost never occur in wetlands. So she observed no signs of wetlands in her study. And as far as significant wildlife, there was one eastern wood pewee habitat observed, but no other significant wildlife. And as far as the road extension concern, they wanted a revised EIS to reflect the road extension because it involves 2 water courses. There aren't any water courses that go over that road extension because they're not there. The mapping is wrong and they're not there. So there are no water courses. So, and that the unmaintained road is, there are no trees there. People go through it, even though they get stuck, but they go through it. So, so these are just a few things that I wanted to bring up as far as, what the city's planning concerns were. And these are all stated in the EIS.
Ms. Mcwilliams, can you speak to that on behalf of planning?
I can't unfortunately speak to the details of the EIS. The comments on the EIS have not been forwarded to me yet, so I'm unable to comment on that. But certainly our environmental planner has reviewed the EIS and still does have concerns. With respect to the water course, that's something we're going to have to sort out because our information does show that there is some sort of water course there. And we'd like to get that resolved before we proceed forward. Certainly with respect to the extension of Carsonby Road, the Carsonby Road past where the city maintains is a trail, lane, but it is not the full width of a traveled road, nor would it have the full ditching. And that's why we were looking for the EIS to also have a look at that. There may be some trees within the right of way that would need to be removed, but we do acknowledge that there is an existing sort of traveled lane that is used seasonally, perhaps.
Right.
So, Ms. McKenzie, here's what I would suggest. All that planning is looking for is an adjournment. It's not a change to your application at this time. It's simply to sort out all of these items that you have raised, and usually a conversation with the planning department will resolve them so that you agree. As the committee, we don't have a way to determine which of the view is correct, but it sounds to me like you'll be able to sort it out. You run the risk, if we're to hear this, of either having it turned down or if we grant it of having it appealed by the city. So it really is in your best interest to adjourn this and address these matters with the city so they can let them go forwards. Are you comfortable with that?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, we'll take, so everybody, are we in agreement to adjourn this application? Okay, as for a date, Ms. McWilliams, do you think this will be able to be resolved within the next 2 weeks?
Given the volume on the next agenda, I'd suggest perhaps the beginning of April.
Will that cause you any undue issues, Ms. McKenzie, to have it reheard at the first meeting in April, which is, could the coordinator confirm what date at the beginning of April is the next hearing?
Madam Chair, it's April 6th.
April 6th, Ms. McKenzie.
Okay, just one issue, possible issue is if I have to, so you're saying I have to get a revised EIS for the road area?
I'm suggesting that you have that discussion with the city and find out in
Yes.
detail what it is will give them that comfort level.
Because if I do, they probably can't do it when there's snow on the ground, so it's going to have to be later. So
Why don't you have the, oh, Mr. Lewis?
To move on, that we do the 6, and if it's not doable, we can grant another extension. Maybe you can get that sorted out. If there was 1 or 2 things, we could maybe rule on it today and might work out for you, but there are so many things at question. If we pass this today, I'm sure the city will appeal it, and then you're going to have more problems. So the more of them we can work out, the better. And
Okay.
why don't you go for the 6? Maybe you can work something out. You're not going to need another EIS. I don't know, but we can give you another adjournment.
okay,
I just know there's 20 some things on the, as Ms. McWilliams said, we've 20 some things on the agenda for March 16th. So it's getting full.
okay.
Those are my thoughts for what
That's
they're
great.
worth.
Yeah.
Okay, so the committee has decided to adjourn the request and we'll set it down until April 6th. Okay,
Okay, good. Thank
thank
you.
you. Next adjournment request is item number 6. That's 3250B River Road. Mr. Dunbar or Mr. Robinson? Mr. Robinson, could you speak up?
Morning.
Good morning. So there has been a request to adjourn this application. Do you have anything you'd like to speak to that?
No, we're in agreement with the adjournment request. This application for a replacement home has received a permit from the Rideau Valley Conservation Authority. And in terms of a building permit, was only awaiting this Committee of Adjustment decision. And in the zoning review for the building permit, the items that are outlined in the planner's report were not listed. I need to speak with the planner, Mr. Gordon. He, I believe, has been in a LPAT hearing, and I gather that Ms. McWilliams is here in his place. I'd like to have a video meeting as soon as possible just to confirm that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed for the additional variances, which may be related to the amount of the expansion in terms of floor area of the new house. That's my understanding. So we're in agreement with the adjournment. And I guess I'd like to ask the committee coordinator, when do you need to have a full application or revised application back so that we can be heard on April 6th?
So, Mr. Robinson, it is our understanding that if you're going to have to add minor variances or
Recirculation.
change them significantly, there is a recirculation. So to adjourn it sine die will allow it to catch up quickly as soon as you
Yes.
have the documentation, and the cost for circulation is the same. So if you don't mind, I'd suggest that we adjourn it sine die and then you come back in with your documents and it'll be put right back on the agenda.
Thank you. It's just, I know sometimes at these hearings, the coordinators indicate what the date is that they need everything for a revised application to be heard at the next hearing. So
I
for the
understand
April
that, but
6th,
because we have to, it has to be recirculated,
Mhm.
then it will have to be, we won't adjourn it to a specific date. We would adjourn it sine die.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Was there anything further you want to add?
No.
Okay. Could I have a vote on adjourning this application sine die? Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Lewis, you have a conflict of interest on this application, so I would ask you to virtually step away from the meeting right now. Okay, this is application number 10. It has the address of 8921 Malik Lane. Good morning, Mr. Price.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of committee, I guess member of committee that's left. Rod Price on behalf of the applicant, Malik Lane. We are aware of staff's request for an adjournment on this. I know staff is requesting an adjournment sine die. We believe the issue with the Blandings turtle could be dealt with in the next month. We're stuck between it. Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mr. Price?
Oh, sorry, I am so sorry about
That's
that.
okay. You can hear us now?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what was going on, who was asking, but it was me. I've got an OLT here at 10, so I was just waiting for them. So I guess I'm way too early. So my apologies.
That's fine. So you were saying you're stuck between a rock. I can finish that sentence.
Rock and a
and
hard
place.
place. So yeah, so as part of the application, we had submitted an EIS prepared by Gemtech, which had indicated that there's no adverse effects to any species at risk or habitat. Staff have reviewed that and have concerns based on reaching out to the ministry with respect to that. And it's a before and after type of scenario where the ministry would like an information gathering form, but we can't submit an information gathering form until such time as we have a lot that's created. This happens in municipalities all over the province. So what we've done in the past is added language to the EIS that allows the severances to proceed, which I've been speaking with Gemtech that we can easily make those revisions in the next week, get that into staff, and thereby it would enforce a condition that prior to any development, so a building permit, the proposed developer builder would have to go through that process before a building permit could be issued. The ministry doesn't look, they won't review it until there's a lot fabric that's created to consider. And staff are looking for, those assurances that any mitigation measures that will be dealt with. So I think we've done it in the past with other severances and it seemed to work. So instead of signing a die, we would probably adjourn it for a month to include that language, and hopefully that satisfies staff and we can move forward.
Ms. McWilliams, can you speak to that? Mr. Price's suggestion?
Certainly. We're willing to go ahead with a month adjournment and we'll see what the revised EIS says.
Okay, so month adjournment would be till April 6th. Is that agreeable to you, Mr. Price?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, Mr. Otto.
Oh,
yes.
and that being
Something
said,
further?
yeah, and if I could just ask Ms. McWilliams, I mean, if we could just ask Ms. McWilliams to send the comments, if there are specific comments, the staff report was pretty vague in terms of what those significant concerns were, so that we could deal with them. That would be very helpful.
Certainly we will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Otto, can we agree to adjourn this application until the April 6th hearing? All right. Adjourn till April 6th.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to hearing the applications we have before us today. The first one is 6470 Dwyer Hill Road. That would be, again, Mr. Price. All right. Okay. Can we don't have an oath, so I'm going to do the signposting oath with you, correct? All right.
Yes, please.
Do you solemnly swear to affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have had a look at this application. Is there anything that you wish to add, Mr. Price?
Yes, Madam Chair, most definitely. I'm very happy to see staff is supportive of this little lot line adjustment. Just for a little bit of context, it's the owner of the farm or the rural area is giving a little bit more land to his daughter. We appreciate staff support on this simple request. However, the condition for the road widening that would constitute approximately a kilometer and a half of road widening for a simple lot line adjustment for the entirety of the property definitely seems excessive. Is new in my experience that, for a lot line adjustment, staff are requesting this road widening. I don't think we have any interest in being a guinea pig and taking this to the OMB, but to be quite honest with you, Madam Chair, I can't believe what I'm seeing from staff with respect to this. I've never seen something this onerous in my entire career. So I'm sure, and it's not a shot at staff, I'm sure they're getting the marching orders from city legal services, but if for something ends up being 3,000 square meters of land for a simple lot line adjustment it just doesn't make sense.
Okay, Ms. McWilliams, do you want to respond to that?
Certainly. The application for the lot line adjustment was reviewed based on the new council adopted official plan, which does specifically identify lot line adjustments as development. And as such, we are obligated to ask for the road widening on the lot line adjustments now. Previous official plan did not identify lot line adjustments as development, so we were able to not have to consider that condition.
Understood. Okay. Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, that road widening, it's not just the land, it's the cost of surveying the land, the French encroachment agreement you got to enter into, a whole lot of things. I don't agree with it at all, but basically the applicant is being held hostage to take it the OMB. I don't think it's fair at all. Are there any other little surprises that are coming in the official plan we don't know about yet? That's an interesting thing for me right now.
Through you, Madam Chair, I hope not.
Oh, my golly, we finally agree on something, Ms. McWilliams. Wonderful. Well, Mr. Price, I think the committee it's up to you.
Maybe we'll hear just,
again. Yeah, it's a tough spot.
Let's just hear from Mr. Otto and then I'll come back around to you.
Sure, Madam Chair.
Well, I agree with Mr. my fellow patriot there, Mr. Lewis. I think this is totally unreasonable. And that's what I figured, is that somebody's changed the definition of development. The second thing is, has this new official plan been approved yet by the government? Because I believe we can go by both official plans until it is. But I think we should vote against this. I think because there's another one coming later on. This is totally new, and it's something that's happened, taking land from the retained portions in the last 1.5 to 2 years. So, I would vote against that particular piece, and but leave it up to the agent.
So, Mr. Price, I think you would have the weight of the committee by the sounds of it in terms of removing that condition. However, and I will ask Ms. Mcwilliams, that would set your applicant up to potentially being appealed and delay the application and put them in the position of having to deal with an OLT hearing. So, Ms. Mcwilliams, did you have anything you wanted to add?
The only thing I'd say is that the minister has not approved the official plan. So we are still dealing with the transition policy where we may look at an application either way, either through either official plan lens.
So, Mr. Price, it's in your hands on how you'd like to proceed on this.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, and just further both to Ms. McLean and Member Otto's point. Yes, the official plan has not been adopted by the province. And I understand staff have to have respect to both the approved official plan and the former official plan. And I think the way, and Cheryl can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way it's to be interpreted, it's the more restrictive of the two is what we go with. And without any certainty from staff or legal services that should committee choose to allow us to go forward without using our client as a guinea pig for something this minor, that's a risk I can't accept. It's a simple lot line adjustment for the guy's daughter, and he's being asked to give up 1.5 kilometers of road widening, which anyways is a tough one. So I guess at this point we would have to accept the conditions as imposed by staff. And should the applicant choose to appeal that condition, we can revisit that. But for something as minor as what we're seeing, and again, I love dealing with staff. This message is coming from above. It is, in my mind, it's ludicrous. It is completely unacceptable. But at the same time, our client is a small rural landowner. They're not developers. The guy's just trying to get his daughter a little bit of extra land off the family holdings. So at this point, we have no choice but to accept the condition should committee.
Okay, so that's where we stand. Mr. Otto?
Seeing as how this is basically new, is there any chance we could maybe stand this down for a month and have a meeting with planning and whoever else to give us a better idea as to which way we can battle this on behalf of the people that are applying? Or is it just a done deal? Would Mr. Price be willing to do that? But I have no idea what the prospects would be.
Mr. Price, would you like to consider an adjournment until April 6th?
I don't know. I was coming before you thinking I had a slam dunk here that this should be simple, and then we see the staff report with this request, which is the first of its kind. So I get to be the guinea pig for a guy that's doing something so minor in nature. Anyways, I would say yes. Then let's put it off till April 6th and weigh our options.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that that's happening, but
I think you're not the only one today, to tell you the truth. All right, so Mr. Price has said he would be comfortable with adjourning this application to April 6th in order for committee to have an opportunity to address this with staff and Mr. Price as well. We will put this up to the committee staff to look into arranging something. Mr. Otto and Mr. Lewis, may I have a vote on adjourning this application to April 6th? All right, Mr. Price. We'll see how this goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. And thank you to Miss Williams. She's in a tough spot here too, so I appreciate that.
Okay. Okay, item number 2, that is 8647 Fallowfield Road. Mr. McDonald. Hello, Mr. McDonald, can you hear me? You'll have to unmute yourself, please. I can't hear you. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir.
Sorry. My name is Brian McDonald. I live at 8647 Fallowfield Road.
Super. Okay. We have had an opportunity to review the application. We understand there is no objection from the Conservation Authority or
Madam Chair, please administer the oath.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Mr. McDonald, I'll have to administer an oath regarding the signs posting. Are you available to do that?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I do so swear.
Thank you very much. Okay, as I was saying, we have looked at the application. There are no objections from planning or any of the agencies. Do you have any particular comments you would like to make?
I just noted that on one of the conditions, they were asking for trying to show the adequacy of the aquifer prior to as one of the conditions for the severance. And I just see that above, I'm going into covenants agreeing that the city's not responsible if the water is found not potable, as well as if the soils are thin. And I was just hoping that I could have that condition waived so I don't have to go ahead, because during my building process, I do plan on building a smaller home on this property. I'll have to go through and provide all the necessary documents at that time. If I do this before, it means that I would have to go ahead, and I have no idea how long of a delay that would be to fill out that one requirement, especially when the city above has already requested that, you know, I do enter into a legal covenant that they're not responsible. Only knowing the building in my area, this will not be a problem. I'm sure of it. But other than that requirement, everything else seems fine to me.
Okay, that is a standard requirement on rural severances, but perhaps Ms. McWilliams can speak to that.
For you, Madam Chair, the city's engineers reviewing the application had some concerns with respect to the ability of the retained lot to have a house on the private services, and that's why they requested this. There's some frontage available, but it's not, you know, a lot of separation. It's a large lot, but there's not a lot of separation on the road frontages to perhaps facilitate the installation, for example, of the septic system on thin soils. So we have some concerns that we want to make sure that on the retained parcel, it fits within the context of the area, as well as the water being of adequate quality and quantity. If you wish for us to revisit that, we could have a look at it, but we'd have to request an adjournment.
All right.
Yeah.
Mr. McDonald, that's the offer. It is generally a standard condition on rural severances, however.
Okay, I did not know that for a lot line adjustment, that was a requirement. And I have over 109 meters of frontage. So I find it difficult to believe that I'll have issues fitting a septic in, as well as a well. There is quite a lot of room just right up front. So not really certain why the city is having an issue with what property's left. And in fact, there were 2 lots directly across from me that, have less frontage than I have, that's had no issues. So again, I'm surprised that the city would require that for this lot line adjustment, given the amount of frontage I actually do have. Compared to most lots in that area, I have more than adequate, more than that they're presented with.
Okay, we've heard you on that. Mr. Lewis.
I guess it goes back to the thing that you've got a property that you can build another house on. And I can't remember any in the last couple of years we haven't put this notice on. And you're probably not going to like to hear it. It's also a septic train analysis studies included in that. It's not a small thing, but it's on the other hand, I don't know if you were listening to the application before. I'm surprised you've only got 4 conditions. Might want to take that and run.
Well,
No.
I'm actually having a little bit of trouble locating the staff comments on this application. Give me a second, because it looks like we have a little bit of a crossover in terms of the comments. Ms. McWilliams, I'm going to ask you to run through the conditions, please, because we may have
I only see 4.
Certainly.
yes,
Yeah.
I know what you're looking at, Mr. Lewis, and that's what I'm looking at, but I also have a different set here. So Ms. McWilliams, if you don't mind running through them for us, that would be helpful.
Sure. I just noticed that the site address on the staff report has an Upper Dwyer Hill Road address, not the correct Fallowfield Road address.
That's
So I
gonna-
apologize for that. So with respect to the conditions, the first condition is the standard condition for lot line adjustments for the property to essentially merge with the property it's supposed to, the severed property. The second condition is to enter into the development agreement, the standard one with respect to the city not guaranteeing the quality and quantity of the groundwater. The third one is entering into the development agreement with respect to the potential for organic soils and thin soils potentially being on site, and that the homeowner needs to be aware that it could cause some additional costs and complications for developing. The fourth one is the hydrogeological assessment and terrain analysis report requirement to demonstrate that the site has adequate quality and quantity of water and is appropriate for a private septic system. And that's pursuant to the provincial E5 guidelines.
Okay. Is that consistent with what you have in front of you, Mr. Lewis and Mr. Otto?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you understand what we just ran through there, Mr. McDonald? That made sense to you, and that's what you understood the conditions to be?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Mr. Otto, Mr. Lewis, anything further?
Nope.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd just like to ask one question. 8685 and 8105, are they actually lots of record?
Yes, they are.
So you could have built on there regardless at one point?
Yes, so I purchased the lot with a friend of mine with the intention to do a lot line adjustment to encompass the existing residents on my property. And then with the remainder of the land that I do own, I was going to build something quite modest on it. My children are all grown up now, moved out, and I didn't need the big house anymore.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready to take a vote on this application? Okay. Those in favor of granting this consent with the noted conditions? Okay. Mr. McDonald, your consent is granted subject to the conditions that were set out by the planning department.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I believe we have a request to hear application 9 early in the hearing.
Okay. All right, we'll jump over to application 9. That's 1534 Dwyer Hill Road. Mr. Price.
Good morning,
I'm sorry,
Madam Chair.
I forgot there was 3 for you.
So,
Okay.
sorry, you just broke up there, Madam Chair.
Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot that you had 3 applications rather than 2. I apologize. All right.
No,
are
that's
you
quite all right.
available-
That's quite all right.
Are you available to take the oath on this application?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I swear, Madam Chair.
Okay, I see no objections from city planning nor from the RVCA, but I believe we have to read in a revision to the lot dimensions and area for the record. That would be B 00007, the depth being revised to 160 meters, the area to 1.07 hectares. B 00008, the frontage being revised to 5 meters, the depth to 160 meters, and the area to 0.55 hectares. B 00009, the depth being revised to 160 meters and the area to 0.96 hectares. The retained land, that's part 4, will have a frontage of 1,034 meters on Dwyer Hill Road. Is that consistent with your understanding of what you've applied for, Mr. Price?
Yes, Madam Chair. As a result of staff's request to add a little extra land as part of the lot line adjustment application for the property to, we try to take a minimalistic approach with the original application. Staff asked to bring it into conformity with the zoning bylaw, and that's what we've done.
Do we have any submissions from other parties here? No. All right. Mr. Otto?
No concern,
comment.
thank you.
Okay. Mr. Lewis?
No questions, no concerns.
All right. Mr. Price, are you aware of the 910 requested conditions on this application?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair. And just for clarity's sake, with respect to the well testing, the hydrogeological terrain analysis, we would like to just confirm that that would only apply to the newly created lot that's proposed to the east. The other is a lot creation for the existing bungalow, and the lot line addition is just an addition to the heritage that is next door. So in order for development to proceed in the form of a building permit, it would only be for what is noted as part 3 in the application or on the plans.
Okay, Ms. McWilliams?
Just to clarify, the retained parcel is vacant.
Correct.
So we would be looking for the vacant parcels. So the one new severed vacant parcel and then the retained parcel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could the coordinator confirm that that's clear to them in terms of writing up the decision on this? Or do we need to add additional clarification?
So to clarify, it's applies to the retained and severed portion.
The vacant lands. Is that correct, Mr. Price?
That's correct. Yeah, we just don't want to get into any having to include the heritage house and the existing bungalow in any, well, septic. They all, it already exists for those existing dwellings. Just want to make sure that as we go through the conditions to clear it, there's no surprises.
Okay, I think the planning department applies that fairly consistently. All right, Mr. Otto, Mr. Lewis, those in favor of granting this consent with the noted conditions? All right, Mr. Price, your application is granted and you are off the hook for today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the accommodation as well. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, back up the list to number 3. That is 2508 McGee side. And I would expect to be hearing from James Nelson. Hello, Mr. Nelson. Are you able to unmute yourself and let us know that you can hear us?
I can.
Okay, super. Are you available to take an oath on this application regarding the sign posting?
Yes.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I do.
Terrific. Okay. This is for a consent. We understand that there are no comments or concerns from Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority or the Planning Department. There are 2 requested conditions. Do you have anything that you would like to add, Mr. Nelson?
Nope.
No? Okay. I don't see anyone else here. Mr. Lewis, any comments?
Nope, we're good.
All right, Mr. Otto.
The only comment, I guess, there's road widening taken on this lot line adjustment again, I believe in one of the conditions.
Yes, it's convey a 13-meter frontage on McGee Side Road. So, Mr. Nelson, I don't know if you've been listening into the earlier part of this hearing, but there is a new condition being requested by the city, which is you would be required to convey frontage along the McGee Side Road through this application. You may have understood that the committee members are not particularly comfortable with this condition because it will involve you having to survey that land and convey it to the city. Do you understand that condition?
I do, but I don't see why it would be valid when the portion of property being conveyed is at the very back. It doesn't even front onto the street. So it would only apply to my existing lot that fronts on McGee Side Road.
Ms. McWilliams, can you speak to the city's position on that?
Yes, Madam Chair. So we would be looking for the road widening along the balance of the retained lot for the, I believe it's just over 68 meters of the frontage that you have on McGee.
Is that clear to you, Mr. Nelson?
Well, if this lot line adjustment had not been submitted, how would they go about widening the road with the existing properties that front on McGee Side Road?
Williams?
There's, through you, Madam Chair, there is no specific capital project at this time for the widening or the redevelopment of McGee Side Road. We take these widenings as a future what if when there's a development application that comes in. The official plan does allow us to take the widenings on lot line adjustments because they're now considered development. And so if and when McGee Side Road were to be redeveloped and widened to the extent anticipated, then the city, where they do not have the widening, goes through the expropriation process.
So the answer is where there is no widening, they go through an expropriation process. Mr. Nelson, the position the committee is in is that we can approve this with the widening, and you'll have to do that in order to complete your severance or your lot line adjustment. We could have a vote and see if the committee members, they have previously expressed their comfort with removing that condition. The position that leaves you in is your application may be appealed by the City of Ottawa staff because it didn't include the condition. So that would both delay the completion of your lot line adjustment, and you may end up at the Ontario Land Tribunal. We tend to leave this up to applicants because really the risk is with you.
So, I mean, the city would expropriate the land anyway, should the time come where the road widening occurs, correct?
That
So
is
by
correct.
agreeing to, so what am I agreeing to? That they would just not be expropriated from me if I agree to the condition?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to let member Lewis explain the implications since he has a deep interest in this.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. It means you've got to hire, you're going to probably have to hire a surveyor anyway to do the back, but you'll have to hire the surveyor to go along and survey back 13 meters or whatever the distance is from the center line if they want. If there's fences, you'll have to enter an encroachment agreement or take the fences down. If they wanted to expropriate, that's it. It may never happen in our time. Like, I can't see it happening. It's going to be an extra cost for you. Basically, city legal department has decided to grab it while you can. And that's what's happened, not just on the road widening. There's a whole range of things that are getting more difficult all the time. However, yours is not a big one. It's what, 68 meters or something. It's not going to be huge. I feel more where there's some people have a kilometer and a half, 2 kilometers they got to give up. That might be worth a fight. However, it's up to you. You can say no, and I think the committee will side with you, but you may end up going to what used to be the OMB to a hearing. It's up to you.
So just to be clear, we can leave the condition in and you go and get the survey done. You convey the road widening to the city and you move on with your lot line adjustment in your life. Or we can have a vote to approve your application, remove that condition, but that leaves you open to an appeal by the city that will delay the application, and you would end up in a hearing with the provincial tribunal on land. I think just to make sure, Ms. Mcwilliams, have we missed anything in terms of explaining this to Mr. Nelson?
For you, Madam Chair, I don't believe so.
Okay.
They may or may not appeal it. That's the wild card.
Can I get a feeling on that opinion?
I'm not really sure which way we will go on this particular one. As I'd indicated on a previous application, we're in a state of transition between our old official plan, which did not identify lot line adjustments as development. So we had not been taking road widenings, and the new official plan, which does identify lot line adjustments as development. So we are obligated to ask for the widening. We are also in the position that the transition policies speak to, we can pick and choose which official plan we review the consent applications under during this transition time. So we had been reviewing yours under the new official plan, meaning it's a development, and we were asked for the widening.
So if I were to agree to that condition and that amount of property, however wide it might be, I assume it's a couple of meters maybe, but does that mean that I can no longer plant trees or cut grass or whatever in that lost strip of property?
Mr.
You're
Lewis?
ready? No, but go ahead and get her done.
It's already done. That's what I'm worried about. Huh. Mr. Price, are you still there? Oh, boy. So this agreement would apply to 2508 or 2524. I live at 2524. It's my parents that live at 2508. I'm acting on their behalf. They're just trying to convey the rear part of the property to me. Had no considerations with the front parts because it was not to be altered or included in anything. So this was a bit of a shock.
Ms. McWilliams?
So the road net widening condition would apply to the retained parcel, which is the 2508 McGee Side Road.
Okay. Do we know what the dimension is from the center line of road to the property line right now?
We can't confirm that. Typically, these old concession lot and concession road allowances were 20 meters. So half of that is 10 meters. So you would be looking at perhaps 3 meters. But again, it depends where they actually built the road within that road allowance. And that's what the surveyor would need to determine.
Well, I think I'm going to take my chances and gamble with I'd like to pursue it under the old bylaw, I guess, and not agree to convey that piece of property.
Okay,
Take my chances and hope that the planners are reasonable people and don't want that extra 3.5 meters.
The planners are quite reasonable. It's that legal department you got to watch out for.
okay,
Well, yeah, I think I'm going to take my chances, please.
all right. So those in favor of granting this consent with only the first condition, removing the condition relating to the conveyance of road frontage on McGee Side Road, all in favor? All right, your application is granted, Mr. Nelson, and I hope everything works out for you.
And what was the first condition?
It's the preparation of an R plan, the survey you have to have done to and have it registered.
So I've already done that, or do I have to get the R plan adjusted because of this line adjustment?
Ms. McWilliams, could you explain this condition to Mr. Nelson?
Certainly, the condition with respect to preparing the reference plan is just the legal survey of the plan itself. But there's also the requirement that there's a notice with the transfer that that lot or that parcel that's being transferred can only be transferred to your lot in this case, and that it has to remain with that lot. That's essentially what the condition is saying it means.
Now, is that a form that gets filled in and signed by a surveyor or a lawyer, or how do I deal with that?
So the surveyor would do the reference plan. Your lawyer would deal with, I believe, the balance of it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the formalization of the application you've made with Land Registry.
Understood.
Okay,
Right. Thank you.
thank you very much, Mr. Nelson. I think you made Mr. Lewis's day.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, On to item number 4. That's 8520 McCaffrey Trail. I believe I'm looking for Ms. Zander. Hello, Ms. Zander. Could you unmute yourself and let us know you can hear us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Gradually getting there. How's everybody?
We are good. Okay, so this is a severance application. All right, are you free to make a note regarding the sign posting?
I am not, Madam Chair, but my client, Mr. Ferraris, was meant to join the call this morning and he can take the oath for the signage.
Okay, could the coordinator locate Mr. Ferraris? Hello, Mr. Ferraris, can you unmute and let us know that we can hear you?
Hi there, can you hear me?
Good. I'm going to read this
Morning.
oath for you regarding the sign posting, okay? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay. The RVCA has no objections to this application. However, planning has some minor concerns. Ms. Mcwilliams, would you like to speak to that?
Sorry, I just have to get my act together a little bit here. The minor concerns relate to the lot configuration. The way the lot is configured, it's a bit of a dog leg, and the widest part of the lot is sort of tucked in behind an existing vacant lot. And so we just have some concerns that if the house was actually built in that area, there may be some privacy issues should the vacant lot develop. There is, however, enough room along the frontage of McCaffrey to place a house and septic system such that it would not impede on the potential neighbor's privacy.
Okay, Ms.
That's all the
Sander.
concern is.
Sorry. Ms. Sander, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, have reviewed the staff report and understand the staff comments. And yeah, if you look at the severance sketch that was prepared by my office, I don't know if staff can share that, so I can just speak to that briefly.
Madam Coordinator, are you able to bring us up a visual?
Thank you for that. So you can see it is a kind of a dog leg shape, as staff have indicated. The lands that are retained, there's quite a bit of vegetation on the retained property between the buildings and the proposed severed lot. So there was a suggestion to perhaps consider making the proposed severed lot wider. I think that's not ideal here. If you look at the figure that's in my in my planning report, you'll see the area that's proposed to be severed is a cleared area. If we make this lot wider, we would definitely be encroaching into the vegetation. So that's not ideal. You can see we have shown a conceptual building envelope towards the back, and that back area is about 55 meters wide, but the front area closer to McCaffrey Trail is also, well, I would suggest more than 55 meters wide, and there's definitely room for a building envelope closer to the road that could certainly be accommodated there with a septic at the rear. So I think, in my opinion, the lot is appropriate as shown. The only way we could change the shape would be to encroach into the vegetated area on the retained lot, and I think that's not ideal. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Otto, do you have any comments or questions?
I guess my only comment would be a bit of a snide one, is the fact that if this is in the city and someone was proposing a 65-story apartment building, they wouldn't be concerned about people's privacy. I have no concerns with it as presented. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, a little bit echo Terry's thoughts. It's the property. I kind of know where the property is, and those lines kind of follow what makes sense. And there's also got to be, it's the privacy thing. It's kind of buyer beware. The buyer can see where the lots are. If he doesn't want that lot, he doesn't have to buy that lot or whatever. I have absolutely no problem with what's being proposed. Thank you.
Okay, I gather that Mr. Ferraris controls the property that concerns are being expressed about right now, correct?
That's
So
correct.
This isn't going to be a surprise on the neighbor or something.
No, definitely not.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity, Xander and Ms. Ferraris, to review the conditions being requested by the city?
I have reviewed the conditions, Madam Chair, and don't see anything out of line there. They are as I would expect.
Okay. All right. I think we can probably take a vote on this then. Those in favor of granting this consent with the noted conditions? Okay. All right. Your consent is granted, subject to the conditions. Have a good day.
Great.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, number 7, 4993 Rockdale Road. That would be Mr. Fernandez de Villa. Mr. Fernandez de Villa, would you like to unmute yourself and let us know that you can hear us?
I can hear you. I don't see myself. I hope you can see me.
We can't see you, but we're okay with just hearing you.
Okay, I see. I got to start a video. Here we are.
There you are. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. We've reviewed this application and note that the city planning department has some minor.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, please administer the oath. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Fernandez de Villa, are you able to take an oath regarding the sign posting on the property?
Yes.
Okay.
I
I'll read
wouldn't,
this to you.
but this is my daughter's property, so I'm familiar with it. I saw the sign posted.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I so affirm.
Thank you very much. Okay. Ms. Mcwilliams, some comments from the planning department.
Yes, we have some minor concerns that we feel can be addressed with the revised environmental impact statement. So we have added a condition to our normal suite of conditions asking for that revised EIS. I'm not sure if the comments with respect to the EIS have been forwarded to the applicant, but if not, they can certainly get a hold of us and we'll make sure that they get them.
I have not received them. I have to say that I'm a little bit surprised because on September 3rd, Heather Lunn, who prepared the first EIS, had a meeting with Brent Harbers from Sound Nation and James Holland and the South Nation Conservation Authority. And they raised a number of concerns which we were addressed. And now I see that there's some minor concerns, but they haven't been identified to me. So I just wonder what the nature of the minor concerns are. And originally this had been adjourned, they proposed 2 weeks. We said 4 weeks so we could address these things. And we only received the report a couple of days ago without any specifics. Sorry, it leaves me a little bit floored.
Ms. McWilliams, you probably don't know specifically what those concerns are. Maybe what we'll do is, Mr. Holland, is it my understanding that South Nation is comfortable with the information in the EIS at this time?
Yes. Hello, Madam Chair. We did review the EIS, 2 versions of it back in September of last year. as the new official plan was being finalized and adopted. We didn't have any ecological concerns with it. We accepted the EIS, but we note that the definition of surface water has changed in the new official plan. So that could be what's causing the city's comments. I'm not sure, but we had reviewed and cleared the EIS back in September of last year.
Okay, Ms. Mcwilliams, do you know the particulars relating to the EIS that are outstanding? You're on mute.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know the specifics about the required amendments to the EIS. My
Okay.
understanding is that they are minor though, and if the applicant wishes to adjourn for a couple of weeks to see if they can be resolved, we can certainly do that. Otherwise, it's a discussion between the applicant's consultant and our environmental planner that need to be had.
Mr. Fernandez de Villa, all they are asking for is a condition. They aren't looking to adjourn it, specifically a condition with a small tidy up of the EIS. It's usually not particularly onerous if they're not asking for it to be adjourned.
That's fine. Then let's proceed with that. The other big, there's also the MDS. My clients provided an MDS for the only livestock facility that could be found again about 2 weeks ago. And the report, the amended report does suggest that it would probably meet requirements, but I'm not exactly sure how it says resolve outstanding MDS issues as a condition of approval, but I thought they had provided that. And again, we had asked for specifics if there was anything else that needed to be looked at. And again, I received no response from the planning department. It's very frustrating to have these conditions mentioned in the report, and then you ask for specifics and you can't get them.
Okay, so they're not looking for a revision to the MDS. It's just a confirmation. Ms. Mcwilliams, did you have any additional details you could provide?
Yes, this one I can provide a little bit of detail on. So we did receive the information that is needed to prepare and create the MDS calculations. We do not have the actual calculation sheets done. So that's all that needs to be done, is to follow through on the information. But based on what we have, what you have provided, we see that there's not going to be an issue, but that just needs to be formalized. That's all.
Okay, I thought we provided the sheet 2 weeks ago, as I said. Why it didn't make it to the planning department, I have no idea.
Okay, so again, not.
I guess the last issue is going to be the road widening, which has been raised already 2 or 3 times previously, Madam Chair. And again, my client is prepared to be a guinea pig on this one and take his chances that that condition not be there, and the city may appeal with respect to the 13-meter road widening from the center line. The property runs 800 feet, so it is a fair amount of land. If it is going to be imposed, it should be taken as part of in lieu of the parkland donation, so that we're not giving free land on the one side and still paying for parkland on the other side. Besides the amount of required for doing the surveying, etc., the city also proposes that if this condition is granted, we would have to also do an encroachment agreement for the existing fences and anything that's on that 13 meter pathway. So that would be the only other issue that we see. And again, I leave it to the committee, but we feel that that's onerous and it's not part of the official plan yet, so that approved by the province, so that it shouldn't be imposed.
Okay, so just to be clear, the other two that we heard earlier were in relation to a lot line adjustment, in that they were not creating any new lots. This application is creating a new lot in which the committee has consistently applied that condition. Mr. Holland, I do see your hand up. I just want to get some feedback on this from Mr. Lewis and Mr. Otto. Mr. Lewis? Do you have any?
Oh, I support the application. It looks like the EIS and the MDS are very small issue. Leave the MDS, and if the EIS, I don't care if the EIS revision is done or not. As far as the road widening, it's up to the applicant. You do take a chance on going to the OMB. We've never had it tested before. So.
Mr. Otto? Oh.
Because before, I don't believe it was on the retained lands as well as the conveyed lands, was it?
It's on everything now. Used to be just on the severed lands. Now it's on the whole everything.
But it has been on the whole everything for some time, correct? This isn't new like the lot line adjustment conditions are.
As me, no, it's probably been doing this for a year.
Okay. Mr. Otto?
Yes, I'm of the same opinion as Mr. Lewis. It has been for about a year and a half that they've been imposing this. I believe I know the person that had the first trial run at this, and when it was news to them, it's similar to what's happened with the lot line adjustment road widening taking. It was new. Somebody's changed the definition somewhere, and no one up until this date has been ready to try and fight the OMB. But looks to me like, Mr. Fernandez, you might be a lawyer, so maybe you're the first one that wants to fight this. But as said, we've been doing this for about a year. Most of the people, myself and Mr. Lewis, have been opposed to these kinds of things, but it's left up to the owner of the land, the applicant, to decide whether he wants us to remove the condition or not. So we'll do whatever you want, basically, as far as I can see.
Can we put this to the end of the hearing? I'll consult with the client and I'll come back to you in a short while.
Okay, let's just.
On the list?
I'm okay with standing this down, but let's just get the rest of the information out while we're here. Mr. Holland, you had some comments to make?
Yes, if this is going to be approved, thank you, Madam Chair. If this is going to be approved with conditions, I just wanted to be sure that there's a condition that the EIS is implemented through a development agreement that clearly spells out the dimensions of the new lot, which are in the EIS.
It's in the existing one?
For the severed parcel, there's a building envelope that's described in the EIS. And I would like to be sure that that's implemented in the development agreement. Thank you.
I'm looking for, I don't see that in the conditions. There are some.
I believe it was there. I recall what Mr. Holland is talking about, the particular building envelope in terms of mitigating being away from the wetlands.
Ms. McWilliams, I see notice on titles here regarding marine clay and thin soils and groundwater quality and quantity.
So, Madam Chair, in condition 1, relating to the revised EIS condition, about halfway down under the second bolding, it indicates that we will be looking for a development agreement registered on title, and it's to include the requirements basically for the development envelopes.
Okay, I see it. All right, so that is in place, Mr. Holland.
Okay. Madam Chair, sorry, I just got a text from my client saying that not to contest the widening, so I withdraw the objection to the widening. I have to follow my client's instructions.
Of course. You almost had double made Mr. Lewis's day today. Okay, I think that's, were there any further comments? Mr. Otto? No, Mr. Lewis?
Support.
Okay, and you are good, Mr. Fernandez de Villa?
Yes, with those conditions as listed is fine.
Okay. All right, those in favor of granting this consent with the noted conditions? All right, your application is granted, Mr. de Villa. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right. Okay, number 8, 1041 Corkery Road. Ms. Zander.
There we are.
Okay. And is your client available to take the oath regarding the signposting?
Yes, he is meant to be here, Madam Chair, but I think that because this was adjourned from a previous meeting, the oath would have been taken at the previous meeting, and perhaps you don't need it again, but he's here anyway. So we'd like to do it again. Mr. Gorgachuk is here, I think.
Okay. Could the coordinator confirm whether we require an additional oath?
Madam Chair, I apologize. I can't confirm at this time.
Okay, we'll just do it anyways to make sure it's covered off. I'm sorry, I don't have your client's name here. Just
It's Brad Gorgachuk, and I did see him on the screen. Oh, now I see his face. He's there, Madam Chair, at least on my screen.
Mr. Gorgachuk, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Could you provide me with your municipal address for the record?
20 William Street in Carleton Place, Ontario.
Okay. All right. You're prepared to take an oath regarding the signposting?
I am.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the notice provided by the committee was posted at the property to which the application applies for the prescribed number of days before the hearing as instructed and was clearly visible and legible during that time?
I do swear.
Super. Okay, 2 severance applications. I see no concerns from Mississippi Valley and no concerns from the planning department. Ms. Zander, do you have any comments you would like to make?
Just briefly, Madam Chair, this was adjourned from a previous hearing. We were asked to relocate the lots and also to show a potential building envelope on the retained parcel, which is what is shown on the sketch in front of you.
So I believe we need to read into the record a change in the depth for application B00465. Is that correct?
It's not written into the staff report that way, but we did completely relocate the lots to the north side of the property, and they are slightly different size and shape. So I have no issue if you would like to read that into the record. Procedurally, I don't know if that's required or not.
Could the coordinator confirm that the depth for B00465 needs to be changed to 271.8 meters?
Madam Chair, that is correct. It was incorrectly listed as 138.3 meters on the public notice.
Okay, and that applies to both properties then?
Just the one on the notice.
Oh, just the one. Okay, so for the record, B00465 revise the depth to 271.8 meters. Okay. Any comments, Mr. Lewis?
None. Support.
Mr. Otto?
No, I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Zander, did you have any concerns about the requested conditions?
No, I have no concerns with the conditions. Thank you.
Okay.
If I may, I just want to make sure, because I'm just looking for the notice that staff were referring to. As you saw in the sketch that was on the screen, both lots have the depth of 271.8 meters. So I'm not sure if the notice that went out had two different depths, but I want to just make sure.
Yeah, it had two different depths.
Okay.
Now they are both 271.8.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Those in favor of granting this consent with the noted conditions. All right, your application is granted, Ms. Ander.
Thank you. Have a good day.
And that is it, unless someone tells me otherwise. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Otto, Mr. Lewis. It was a small committee day, but got through it.